Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Natalia. If you're new here today, I'm coming to you in no makeup, a sweatshirt, and my hair is a mess, but I'm a little bit busy for the rest of the week, so I just wanted to film this video, and I was like, honestly, screw what I like, that doesn't matter, we're here to talk about books. And also, excuse my bookshelves, they're so chaotic, but I have limited space in my home and I own a lot of books, so it just looks extremely chaotic, but what are you gonna do? Anyways, I read, I believe, 14 books this month. Let me double check on that. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I read 14 books, 15 if we include the one that I'm in the middle of right now, which is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I am currently annotating this, and this is like going to be a 5-star read for me unless anything changes. I have like 50 pages left of it. Could be like a 4.5 or 4.75, but we're just gonna go ahead and say that it is 5 stars. This is Emily Henry's new release. In this book we're following Daphne and Miles, who both got broken up with because their partners started dating each other, and so then Daphne ends up moving in with Miles, and this is basically their love story, their funny story, and it is so cute. I want no slander on Miles. He is such an underrated MC. I'm seeing so much slander on his character because he smokes weed and he wears Crocs. It's like, that is the realest thing Emily Henry could have possibly ever written. Like, are we just gonna forget that? That's like so real of her. Anyways, love this book, but I'm not gonna go on any further because I do still have like 50 pages left of it, and if you're wondering, the annotations are so good. It's so good. So anyway, moving on. By the way, I just want to say April was such a slay month for me. I had so many 5 stars and so many good books. It was insane. It was the month of like amazing releases. Anyway, this is Murder Road by Simone St. James. This book is following a newly married couple who is driving one night to their honeymoon. They are staying in this like kind of like resort, and they're driving there, and the husband decides to take this road called Atticus Lane. I could be saying that wrong, but basically it's like this back road. He just randomly decides to go on it, and when they're driving on it, they end up seeing a hitchhiker, and she's like walking really funny, so they stop the car and they're like, hey, do you need help or you need a ride or whatever? And she's being all like sketchy, and then she ends up getting in the car and they notice that she's like bleeding really bad, and they're like, okay, we'll take you to the hospital. And she's like, he's coming. She keeps like repeating, he's coming. And then all of a sudden this truck comes up behind them and is following them, so they race to the hospital. And once they get to the hospital, basically the cops are there and they're like, what did you do? How did you find her? Why are you here? So the cops start digging back into their life, and they're finding out a ton of secrets about the couple, and secrets that the others or the couple don't even know about each other. And basically the small town is trying to blame this murder on them because a bunch of murders have happened on this specific road. And it was so good. This book had a supernatural element to it, which I love thrillers. I just discovered this about myself because I really do love a thriller with a supernatural element. I guess it because it makes it feel just not real, I guess you could say, and I kind of like that about it, because honestly sometimes when you read a thriller and it's like super realistic, it's a little bit scary because it feels like, oh, this could happen. But I don't know, I just seem to really enjoy supernatural thrillers, because I also really enjoyed The House Across the Lake, which is definitely supernatural in a way. But yeah, this was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I flew through it. It was amazing. I got this one from my library, but I definitely want to pick up a copy for myself because I loved it. It was amazing. Okay, by the way, none of these are in a correct order. Okay, the next one is The Dead Guy Next Door by Lucy Score. This is my first ever Lucy Score book. I think I have a vlog of me talking about reading this, but basically we're following Riley Thorne, who just got like divorced, and she's living in this like manor full of roommates who are like older, and she is kind of like psychic, I guess you could say. She's giving that's a raven. And one day she sees that her next door neighbor is going to get shot, and she tries to warn the police without like letting them know, you know, that she's psychic. And she ends up working with a private investigator named Nick, who they end up falling in love, but he's kind of like a playboy. And it's just it was super cute, and it was really, really good. I believe I gave this like 4 stars because it wasn't like the best book I've ever read, but it was so cute. I loved their romance, and I thought it was super fun. We're just like running around town trying to figure out who killed her next door neighbor. So yeah, this was really good. 4 stars, highly recommend. This one is so funny. You guys will probably make fun of me, but this is a Strawberry Shortcake Murder. I've been working my way through the Hannah Swenson mysteries from Joanne Fluke. I also read Blueberry Muffin Murder this month, so I'll just throw a picture up right here. But these are basically following Hannah Swenson. She is the owner of a small bakery in her very small town, and basically she always ends up finding a dead body or a dead guy or a crime that's been committed. And this is like the story of her like running around town trying to figure out who murdered who and who did this. And I just love these books. They're so cozy to me. I read the first one like last month, and I immediately gave it 4 stars. I gave this one 4 stars, and then I believe I gave Blueberry Muffin Murder 5 stars because I just thought it was so fun. The audiobooks are also really good. It's like an older woman who's narrating it, or at least I think it is, and she's just so cozy. I love it. Yeah, it's basically just like small town murdering, and she's just being cute and running around being cute and trying to like solve the murder. Also, in all the books there are like recipes for different like sweets because she owns bakeries, so I think that is so incredibly cute. I love it so much, and I want to hopefully thrift as many of these copies as I could find for my little collection. Okay. Sorry if you hear my daughter and my kids, they're back there. But anyways, Taming 7 came out this month. This is number 5 in the Boys of Toman. I'm wearing my Toman college sweatshirt. But basically this is Gibbsy and Clara's story, so I'm not gonna go into this too much because if you haven't read the whole entire universe, then I don't want to give anything away. But basically, beautiful. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I don't get the slander. People are saying it's focusing too much on the friend group instead of Gibbsy and Clara's story, which I can agree with, but I didn't think that was a bad thing. Sorry if you hear my kids, they're being so loud. I didn't think it was a bad thing necessarily because we got more of a backstory on the friends that we didn't get in the other books, and also we got a really good backstory on Gibbsy. I mean, I would say Clara is a little bit iffy. I don't really know her as well as I know Gibbsy, but Gibbsy's story was so tragic. My jaw was literally on the floor when I found out the things that happened to him, and it emotionally damaged me. But anyways, I love this series. Some people trash on it and they say it's horrible, but this series has a special place in my heart. I'm obsessed with it. I love books with this much dialogue. Some people say, I saw Haley Pham say that it's giving Wattpad because it has that much dialogue, which I totally don't agree with. I 100% believe a book with dialogue and this much like banter and just all of this dialogue makes it that much better. I don't know. I'm not a huge inner monologue person, so I guess that's why I love this story so much, but also they're just so emotionally gripping, and I love that. So 5 stars for Taming 7. 6-star read. 6-star read. I don't get people who don't like this book. Basically, this book is following, I forget her name already, but this is a 6-star read, I won't even lie. Emma. So Emma is a RN. I think she's like a travel RN. And then we have Justin, who is like, he works in tech or something like that. But they both live kind of opposite sides of the world, I believe, when this book starts. But she comes across this Reddit page where he made a post saying that he's tired of being the guy that gets broken up with, and then after the girl breaks up with him, that girl finds their soulmate. So it's giving Good Luck Chuck, if you've ever seen that movie. But Emma reaches out to him and was like, hey, this also happens to me and it sucks. And so basically Emma, they become really close friends, and Emma ends up moving to Maine, I want to say it is, for the summer. And she lives in this like cabin on a lake, and they end up like going on dates because they think if they date each other it will like cancel out and then the curse will be broken. And it's just the most beautiful love story I have ever read. Abby Jimenez can do no wrong in my eyes. She writes such amazing characters. It's so emotional and deep, but also there's that romance and that spice, which it's like a teeny bit of spice, but it's like so beautiful how good her stories are. I'm such a fan. I could go on and on about this book, but I've read it in a anticipated release vlog, so if you want to hear like more of my thoughts, you could check out that. But this was a 6-star read for me, and I definitely want to get the paperback edition to annotate, because I got this one from Book of the Month. I love Book of the Month, but I just want to annotate the crap out of one, because I just thought this was the most beautiful love story and I loved it so much. It's a perfect summer read as well. Anyway, next one is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This was so good as well. Now that I'm looking back on it, I did give it 5 stars, and I maybe would have given like a 4.5 looking back on it, just because there are some things that I didn't like as much as like I loved the Chestnut Springs series, for example. So basically this is following Ford Grant, who is Willa Grant's brother. Willa is the FMC of Heartless from the Chestnut Springs series. You do not have to read that series to enjoy this one, but I would. Anyway, so this is volume 4. Ford, he is a billionaire. He's opening a recording studio in his hometown of Rose Hill, and so yeah. And then at the same time, Rosie is coming back, which now that I think about it, it gives me very much cringe that it's Rose Hill and her name is Rosie. I kind of hate that. But anyways, she's coming back from like living in the city and getting broken up with her boyfriend, and she gets a job with Ford, and basically it starts from there. They have this like enemies type thing going on, but when I look back at it, I just don't get why they're enemies. Like, they kind of like teased each other growing up, and so that's why they're enemies. They think that they should still be teasing each other now as adults, I guess. So I just don't get it. So that's why I kind of would dock off maybe some points. And then also there is a part where something happens to Ford, where someone enters his life in this book, and I thought that was kind of unrealistic, I guess. I just at first I kind of looked past it and I was like, you know, whatever. But then I'm like, that kind of just like so unrealistic. Like, if that happened to me, genuinely I would be so stressed out. But anyways, it's still a very good book. Very good book. Elsie Silver can write spice like no other. I stand by that. I thought the scenes in this book were so different. Like, it's something that I hadn't read before. And yeah, I liked this book, but I will say Chestnut Springs so far is my favorite. And I am excited to pick up the other ones, but so far Chestnut Springs. But yeah, it was still a really good book, and if I had to rate it right now, I would give it like a 4.5, 4.75. I read Betri, and I'm so happy that I did. I was reading this book and I was like not really into it, and then I got to like the last half and it just got super good. It was so good. I get it. I totally get it. So this book is following Augustus Everett and January Andrews, and basically they are both writers, and he does like literary fiction, she does romance, and they both have this like beach house that they're staying in, and they end up going to one another one day because they both live in this town on this beach, and they both like say like, hey, you write romance, you write literary fiction, and they have this like little bet, and they go on these little like field trips or like excursions that the other creates, and they like just are getting to know each other. And I loved this book with everything in me. It was so good. The last half, when they were like truly falling in love, I was eating it up. It was 5 stars for me, and I definitely want to get a new, I got this one at the thrift, so it's a bit beat up, but I want to get a new copy and annotate it. It was so good. It was so good. I'm not doing a great job at explaining it, but 5 stars. The next one is The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. I didn't know if I would like Ellen Hildebrand, and I am such a fan. I'm such a big fan. This was my first Ellen Hildebrand and I loved it. Why is she like so cool? Like I thought it was just gonna be like maybe just like an older lady writing her little cozy beach novels, but she was so funny and cool, and this relayed throughout the novel. But anyways, this is following Lisbeth, which is a weird name, but this is following Lisbeth, and she is a manager at the Hotel Nantucket, and there's this like billionaire who owns the hotel, and he's like, hey, you need to get 5 keys. And she's like, what's 5 keys? And he's like, Shelley Carpenter. And she's like, oh my gosh. So Shelley Carpenter ends up being like this big influencer who goes to different hotels like under an identity and nobody knows who she is, and she gives the hotel like 5 keys if it was like amazing. And so she's like super stressed out. She's trying to hire the right people, da da da. And this story is following the employees of the hotel and kind of like their backstories. And then also this hotel has a ghost and kind of like a very tragic backstory, but I'm not explaining this well at all, but it was such a fun book. I just thought it was so fun. I thought Ellen Hildebrand was so funny. I can totally see why they call her like the queen of beach reads, because she just writes a book that you can just like eat up, and I ate it up. Like I loved this one so much, and I cannot wait to pick up other novels by her. I think I gave this 4 stars. Very good. If I had to change my rating for this, I would give it 5 stars. I initially gave it 4 stars, but this is Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. Basically, this book is following this guy named Doug who created or gets this bot named Annie, who is made specifically for him and like his needs as a man, if you can catch my drift. But Annie kind of start to develop like a mind of her own as she's like moving along in the world, as she's growing as a robot. She's starting to understand human emotions and life in general, and this was just such a girl story for the girls. Like 100% it was a story for the girls, like on what it's like to be a girl, to deal with a man. I hated Doug. If that was the author's intention of writing the story, for me to like hate men, she really did that. No, I'm just kidding, but like Doug was horrible to Annie, and Annie was just like trying to figure out life, and it was just such a fun, different story. I would give it 5 stars. I think I initially gave it 4, but I would definitely give it a 5 now. It was such a fun book, and it's super short. I also got this from the library, so I need to get my own copy. And then I ended up reading The Great Gatsby. This is very random, but I picked it through a TBR game, and I picked it because this is a story about unrequited love. If you don't know about Great Gatsby, this is basically following Gatsby and Gatsby and Daisy, and Daisy's cousin. This is in the perspective of Daisy's cousin, which I believe his name is Nick. I could be totally wrong. I don't know. But this is my first time reading the story. I've also never really seen the movies. I've seen like bits and pieces, but I never knew how that story ended, and I was so shocked on how the story ended. I was genuinely like liking it a lot. But I will say I gave this 3 or 4 stars because I can appreciate this as a classic, and also it was such a beautiful story, and the twist did get me at the end. But I can also say that I'm just not really a classic girl. Like it was hard to get through, but I am happy that I read it. But I would probably have enjoyed this story more if I read it with like somebody who could help me like diagnose it and just like really get into the nitty-gritty of like read between the lines, I guess you could say, because I was reading it, but was I like really understanding every single bit? I don't know. Maybe I can read it again one day with like an audiobook or something, but it was really good. I still give it 3 or 4 stars. Okay, last book that I have to talk about. Actually, that's not true. I have one more that I don't have physically, but this is the rule book by Sarah Adams. I'm not going to go too much into this because I didn't end up liking it that much. I think I gave it like 3 stars. I think I gave this like 3 stars because I didn't connect with it, I guess you could say. This book is following Nora, and Nora is like a Nora is like a sports writer, and she ends up having to work for this famous NFL titan named Derek, and it also happens to be her ex-boyfriend who she broke up with in college like super horribly. She kind of like broke his heart, and so he is like out for revenge, and he's like, I don't like her, but I'm gonna make her like pay for it, basically her breaking my heart. And I just didn't get the true enemies to lovers vibes that I wanted out of this, I think. Also, there was some spice in this, which I've never known. I've never read a Sarah Adams book that did have spice in it, but I just didn't feel obsessed with it at all. I thought it was a good book. It wasn't a bad book. Like, I still, a mosquito. I still enjoyed it for what it was, but something like I would run right home about, you know what I mean? Okay, and then last but not least, I read Haunted Ever After, which was a arc that I picked up from NetGalley. This book is following what is her name? Cassie, who moves to a small town in Florida that ends up being like this haunted town, and she ends up meeting this guy named Nick. Why is everyone's name Nick? Who owns like this coffee shop or whatever, and he kind of just, I don't know. Honestly, it was just not a good book. I'll be honest. I gave it like 1 star. I did not like it at all. I don't even remember what it was about. I also read it at the very beginning of the month, but I don't even remember what it was about because I just didn't like it that much. So if you're interested in it, I'll put the picture like up here somewhere, but I just don't even know. I didn't like it that much. But anyways, that was all of the books that I read for the month of April. It was a pretty good reading month. I had a lot of 5 stars, so I'm not too mad about it. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, you guys. Sorry I'm talking a mile a minute, but my camera's about to die, so anyways, love you guys like a bestie. Comment the, let's do like the bow emoji if you finish the whole video, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next one.